Hey folks, I know for a lot of people 2016 was kind of a bit rubbish. But you know something? When it comes to the best home computer of the 80s, I think it was pretty good release-wise. So we're a couple of weeks, more like a month, into 2017. We have some pretty exciting games coming up there, but I'm going to just take a few moments to talk about the ones that were like my pick for 2016. These are ones that I actually did cover on the channel. No surprise there. But I'll just, give you a second highlight, just a quick little reflection on them all before we get the train rolling for the big stuff that's coming in 2017. So number 5, start with, is Barnsley Badger. Now this edition, I was lucky. This was the tape copy from the Kickstarter, leftovers from the Kickstarter for C64 and Pixels. These days, it's of course available digitally or on tape disc from Cytronic. And the multi-platformers, they're ones that they are fundamental classics. They're particularly remembered for their soundtracks, the utter punishing brutality of the difficulty, but some wicked level design as well. They also, they do have the Spectrum-esque thing going on, but I think it adds part of the character. I have a lot of fond memories of Monty on the Run in particular. I've not covered yet because I'm pretty rubbish at it. But Barnsley, its goal was sort of to act as a throwback to those games, but to bring a lot more modern design sensibilities in place. And that's one of the things I love about it. The modern design really makes for a game which is far more enjoyable and far more fair to play as a result. I really found sitting down playing it. I haven't had a chance to play it much since I reviewed it because I've been so busy with other things, but it's a game I really enjoyed playing. I found a good challenge, some fair level design, a lot of and those modern design sensibilities really made the game far more enjoyable to play. I find that it's a different kind of sort of platforming game that we got on the 64. I should be told when I go back and think through things. I can't remember that many that do the high-res style that Barnsley goes for, and as per its inspirations, since the homebrew or post-commercial era. So it's a welcome, lovely addition to that. If you haven't already checked it out, it's one that's definitely worth checking out. It's got its spot in my place pretty fairly for a lot of good reasons, and it's one that absolutely needs to be checked out. Let's go up the train to number 4, and that one is Tiger Claw. Now, Tiger Claw is probably a bit odd because this, of course, is the cartridge edition. This was actually pledged for during the C64 and Pixels Kickstarter. And the thing with Tiger Claw, of course, was that it was originally an entry in the 2014 RGCD compo. And the thing, of course, with that version was that it was one of those cases where there's a really cool game concept, but the execution was lacking something. And that one thing was really the controls. It had a lot of inertia and friction on movement, and so the kind of game it was, a flick screen beat off some really tiny sprites, that didn't quite feel right in my books. So when the enhanced edition went to cartridge, it was absolutely, and when they talked about actually fixing that was one of the big things they sort of talked about, and honestly, it was really appreciated. It made the game from a cool concept, but just a little too infuriating for me to sit down with and have fun with, to something that was really good fun. I really enjoyed playing it. I don't think I've gotten much further than I have since the original time I covered it. It's a good challenge. It's tough. There's a lot of great additions. Like you've got 4-player single-screen beat-em-up thing, which is, I've not had a chance to try that out with some friends, but I think that's a very cool little taste because it's so different from the core gameplay, where now you've just got 4 characters in the one screen. You can also pick from characters in the game, so you're not just all playing the hero character. And I think it's one of those things that just brings a little bit of depth, a little bit different gameplay to what you expect from the norm. It's a really fun game. It's available digitally for those who didn't back the Kickstarter, and at that price I think it's pretty much unmissable. Definitely one you want to check out if you're into platform fighting games. And number 3, we've got Super Carl and the Spider. Now, I don't have a Vic, so I never played the original Vic 20 version of the game, but this was in development for quite a while, and it's a very cool little upgrade from that version of the game. It came out fairly early last year. I mean, I think it was March or April when I reviewed it, and truth be told, I think it's one that slipped under the radar a bit as we came to the end of 2016. For what it is it's a flick screen platform puzzler where your basic objective is to go through each screen, collect all the gems, and move out. But one of the things I was really impressed with was the absolute character detail. You've got a game that's really about lots of little tiny sprites, like the pickups, the enemies, Carling himself, and they just have so much character. I mean, the first time I saw the death animation, is particularly after rebounding off something, it's just, I just found myself chuckling. It's just something about that. But there's so many levels to it in terms of, you've got the set of levels, you've got like different difficulty versions of them, but you've also got this element where there's a lot of good password system. There's all these sort of modern conveniences to make it go back. It's a tough challenge, and a good puzzler is always warranted. Good platform puzzler is always really appreciated. So if you like your kind of puzzle games where they're like a little more actiony than a straight simple puzzle, this is an absolutely charming release. And of course, if you do happen to have a Vic and a 64, the Vic version's on the disc, so that's actually a pretty cool little thing. So for number 2, it's one of the ones that came out fairly late in the year, and I think because of that, I've seen it not appear on a few lists, and that is, of course, Moonspire. Moonspire does a lot of things that pretty much call to me, like the flick screen shmup actually with a bit more, the exploration and the detail involved is one of those things that makes it very special in my books. I mean, I love a good shooter with a bit plus there. You'll have seen that over the channel based on some of the games I've reviewed. And one of the things I really appreciate of this is just the overall package, presentation, the gameplay, the controls, everything feels solid. You've got that very unique interaction where you are moving, but you can also lock your firing direction and strafe, which becomes really handy when you need to just clear out a bunch of enemies very quickly. But then you've also got the alternate mode where you basically dig into a position on screen, and then you can fire out in any direction. It's sort of something that, if you're playing on a modern system, would be done with, the 2 thumbstick on a gamepad. But to see it, done so well on the 64 is just really just a shining piece of elegance in my book. It's a very fun action game. There's a lot of exploration, quite a lot of levels. I mean, 6 stages all up, and total, I think the number was around 250, 260 odd screens. Make for a lot of gameplay. It's one of those ones where you can just easily get lost exploring, battling, collecting items, and just going forward and progressing. And it's one I absolutely really appreciated. Moonspire may not have gotten a lot of love. I mean, I don't think, I could be wrong, but it's one that really, really is well worth checking out. And of course, it's on cart, but you can also grab it as a download. So for number 1, well, let's be honest, with number 1, it's got to be the Bare Essentials. Graham's work on that, as a labour of love over quite a few years, is really amazing. I wish I had a physical copy of the show, but those are still I think, available for pre-order. And as what that offers, a simple cartoon platformer that has a lot of throwbacks to the early 90s stuff, particularly Thalamus stuff. There's a really challenging game in it. It's great fun. There's a lot of gameplay in there. There's a lot of modern design decisions. Passwords, continues, the way you get all those, the way you can continue to play that game even if you die. There's a lot of mapping involved too as you go through and find all those apples. It's one of these games that I think there's been a lot of hype building up, and probably it's one of those ones where that is rightly deserved in my books. I certainly really enjoyed it. Yeah, it came out really close to the end of the year, and that might be a bit sus to throwing it as like the best game of the year, but honestly, there was just something about it that just pushed it to a class above compared to a lot of other releases from the period. So there we go. 5 really great games released on the 64. If I had any honourable mentions, I'd probably say Maze and the Mummy, which is probably worth noting that if you were turned off grabbing it based on my original video, they actually have made an updated version available that does have a saved password system. The downside is that you lose the turbo loader, so if you, like me, have 1541 Ultimate or you're playing it off the real disc and you don't have a Jiffy DOS or whatever, you get much slower load times. It's a trade-off that's a bit infuriating in my books personally. I kind of wish that, I'm kind of disappointed that we had to lose the cool loader system to do it, because if you remember my video, it loaded pretty quickly, so, well, those are the breaks. I would love to hear what yours are. I mean, I'm sure there are probably some smaller things I didn't cover or I probably completely plumb forgot that came out last year. So if you've got any, do leave some comments down below. I would love as a goal for me this year to try and be able to do sort of a top 5 or a couple of picks on other platforms. I mean, the closest would be the Atari for 2016. The closest would be the Atari 8-bits for Atari Blast. That was a really solid shmup, and my goodness, that pushed that computer to ridiculous extremes. So, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Like I've said, if you know any I missed or other ones, or what your best was, do leave a comment down below. As always, do consider leaving a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. It always helps. You know, the magic numbers do their thing. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.